Hi everyone, my name is Kaley Lentini. I'm Legislative Counsel with the ACLU of Connecticut. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to tell you a little bit about ACLU of Connecticut's legislative priorities for this upcoming session.
Hey folks, I'm Melvin Medina. I'm the Advocacy and Outreach Director here at the ACLU of Connecticut. Like you, I'm wondering all about the details of this upcoming session. So let's start with the basics, which is, when does the session start?
Good question, Mel. So it's an even-numbered year, which in Connecticut means that the legislature has a short session. So the 2018 legislative session is going to start February 7th and it'll go through May 9th. That means we've got a little over 3 months to do a lot of work. So we're gonna need your help, our supporters' help, to get some really good things passed here in Connecticut this session.
So there's a bunch of things that we're working on. I know that we have 3 priority bills that we're thinking about. Let's start with use of force.
Okay, great. So one of the goals of the ACLU of Connecticut is to increase police transparency and accountability. And one of the issues that we'll be working on this session, as Mel said, is use of force. So we think that the police departments in Connecticut should be required to report to the state annually on incidents where their police officers are using physical force against members of the community. So that could be anything from putting their hands on someone to the firing of a weapon, anything that could substantially harm someone or even kill them. Now, right now in Connecticut, police departments are actually already required to keep internal reports of these incidents. So we're just asking them to take one small extra step by submitting those reports to the state annually so that they can be put online for the public to see. Even though 1 in 5 Americans actually says that they know someone who's been physically mistreated by the police, here in Connecticut, we have no idea how many people are harmed each year by the police or even how many people are killed each year by the police. So we think it would be really important for us to be able to have the information and for the public to know how often force is being used against community members, who it's being used against, in what situations. So we think this will add more transparency to the police use of force, and it's something that we'll be fighting for this year.
Fantastic. Now I know police militarization is also on our table. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So the state police department as well as local police departments are applying for and receiving excess military equipment from multiple federal programs, including the Department of Defense's 1033 program. Now this session, it's going to be really important to work on this because the Trump administration actually just has expanded the 1033 program, so police are going to be able to acquire more military equipment. So right now this is happening with almost no oversight, and we here at the ACLU of Connecticut believe that there should be more transparency and accountability involved in this issue. So we think that police departments should be telling the public and officials what sorts of equipment they're applying for and what equipment they're getting. We also think that the public should have an opportunity for comment, such as at public hearings, to let the police and officials know what they're thinking about their police departments getting this heavy-duty equipment. And we would like approval from officials of these applications before they're submitted to the federal government. So we know that this has been happening here in Connecticut because since 2009, police departments in Connecticut have acquired $12.9 million worth of military equipment. I know, it's a lot. And this equipment includes things like military tanks, automatic weapons, we've got remotely controlled vehicles, and even an Army helicopter and a grenade launcher.
Wow.
Yeah, people are often surprised to find what their local police departments have, and that's because there isn't a lot of transparency around the process now. So we'll be fighting for more transparency in the militarization of police this session.
Well, that makes sense and sounds generally reasonable. Now I know we worked on civil asset forfeiture last year. Could you talk to us about why this is coming up again?
Sure. So for those of you who were involved in our legislative agenda for last year's session in 2017, you may remember that civil asset forfeiture allows police to seize money and property from oftentimes innocent people and keep that property or sell it and use those proceeds for themselves. So last year, thanks to the help of our supporters like you, the state of Connecticut was able to pass a bill into law that requires there to be a criminal conviction in order for the government to actually keep that property that was seized. Okay. Now, the state police and local police have to follow that law. However, we're going to be working on this again this year because there is a loophole. The federal government and the federal asset forfeiture law allows the state police and the federal government to still seize property from innocent people in Connecticut without charging them in crime, without getting a criminal conviction. And Attorney General Jeff Sessions has actually been encouraging more and more the use of this program. So we think that this might be something that's going to be used more often. And we know that it's been happening in Connecticut with our local police and state police using the federal asset forfeiture law, because from 2008 to 2014, our state police and our local police departments spent $13.3 million of proceeds from money and property that was seized from citizens, from residents of Connecticut. That was through the federal asset forfeiture law. So we really need to make sure that we're closing this loophole this session and fighting to stop police abuse.
All right, that makes sense. Now, I know that there's a ton of issues that the ACLU works on, and clearly these top three aren't going to be the only ones. So could you talk to us about the other issues that we'll be working on?
Sure. So we've got a lot of things that that are on our legislative agenda for this session, and we know there will be a ton of issues dealing with the people of Connecticut's civil liberties and rights that we'll be weighing in on. So some of these issues will be protecting the privacy of students, the legalization of marijuana, network neutrality, the rights of LGBTQ individuals, toll road privacy, immigration, and criminal justice reform, just to name a few. But we know that we will be standing up for the people of Connecticut and protecting their civil liberties and rights in whatever form that comes to the legislature this session.
Fantastic. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can get involved on these issues, and three come to mind to me. The first is to educate yourself. So you can go to www.cga.ct.gov to figure out who your legislator is. All you have to do is click on Find Your Legislator, put in your address and your zip code, and it'll automatically tell you who your representative is and who your state senator is. Be informed. There's two specific ways you can do that. You're already doing it right now by following us on Facebook and following us on Twitter and watching these amazing Clearly videos that we're doing, right? But you could also sign up on our website to get our action alerts to figure out what issues that we're working on, what's moving at the legislature, and what we need, what help we need from you to push issues and testimony and many other things. In addition to that, the best thing you can do is start building a relationship with your legislator. And the way you do this is by going through the list of issues that we work on and finding the issues that speak to you. As an advocate, you'll come off more genuine and as though you care about these issues if you really do. So find the issues that we work on that speak to you, because that's going to come out in your emails and your conversation with your legislators, your family, and your friends. That's about what we have for how to get engaged at this moment, but keep staying tuned for future outreach that we do. You can always reach out to me at mmedina, mmedina at ACLU-CT.org once you figure out what those issue areas are that you want to get involved in, and I can send you fact sheets and we can help you with writing testimony. Now, before we close, if you have any questions, please include those in the comment section right now and we'll get to them. I know I have a question immediately, and that's thinking about student privacy that you mentioned. Why is that issue important? I know we've worked on that in the past, but why would that come up again?
Right, so student privacy is really important because students don't check their privacy rights at the schoolhouse door. So this session, we are hoping to work on an issue around student personal electronic devices and ensuring that they have their privacy when it comes to those things. So we don't want employees of schools to be searching through students' personal electronics, their cell phones, their tablets, their laptops, just for no reason. You know, we don't want these phishing expeditions. We want to make sure that there's a good reason to be looking through students' electronic devices and that they're stopping once they find what they need to find. So we think it's really important to protect students' privacy, whether they're outside of school or in school. So we'll be working on that as one of the issues this session.
That's fantastic. I don't think we have any questions, but you guys can always reach out to us whenever a question does arise, or if you want to learn more about what we're working on. Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to work with you this session.